Hi, everyone. Welcome. And sorry, we're running just a little late. I know Chrys is surrounded with lots of angels right now.
Yeah, I don't know what they're for, but they're here. They're here.
Sometimes if you just do this with your camera, it'll clear up a little bit. Yeah, that's a little, yeah, it did a
That's a
little,
little better. That's a
yeah,
little better. Yeah.
perfect. And
Yeah.
I also forgot to tell you, up to the right on your screen, if you push comments, you'll be able to see the comments coming in.
I forgot about that.
So we wanted to do a live discussion to bring you all in to the discussion, because we have so many great comments coming in after the fact. We thought, why don't we just have the conversation here live with y'all commenting live, right? So if you're here, say hello and let us know. And but welcome. This is 44, right?
45.
45. Discussion 45.
45.
There you go. Discussion 45. And love is the wisdom behind awakening. Discussion and channeling. Let's see where we all go today. And look at what Chrys is wearing today. And Still I Rise. That's
Still I Rise. Yeah. And it's got Freebird written on the back of it too.
Yeah, has Freebird on the back.
Mm-hmm.
Little advertisement for the merch.
Mm-hmm.
Reader, thanks for the hugs. Hi, Thankful and Seascape and Cindy.
Yep.
Welcome in. So we were running a little behind coming in, so we didn't really talk about what we were going to dive into today.
Yeah.
We are open to any questions that you have or direction that you want to take us. But other than that, Chrys. Hi, Carol.
Hi, Carol.
Any thoughts of what direction you want to go? I did bring a piece that I wrote. I hadn't sent it to you yet because I was still.
Okay. Is it based on what we talked about on Friday?
A little bit. I do want to bring that up though. What we talked about on Friday.
Well, I listened to it again this morning. The two themes that came up a lot were awareness, awakening, and perspective.
Yeah.
And I think those are really important. But
yes, and it's super important. It's awakening is perspective, isn't it? It's a as our perception of things, is not stuck. If we're just looking at this all the time, that's our only perspective of things, right? So
right.
Is being able to look beyond this.
Yeah.
Right. What else did you get with that?
You gave an example the other day about walking into a bedroom where a child has just put all sorts of toys on the floor.
Right.
You've just cleaned up the floor. And your perspective. Do you remember that?
A little bit, yeah. So that's so we have control over how we perceive a situation. And I use that situation because it's one we may be able to relate to on some level, whether it's walking in a kid's room or walking into your kitchen after you had a little dinner party. You know what I mean? Where everything is just everywhere. So you can view that differently. So again, but it's in your hands. And so you can perceive what you're looking at as just a mess and just blah blah blah, or you can perceive it as, we just had a night of joyful connection, and I get to spend some time reminiscing as I clean, and I'm so glad I was able to foster this night and host this night, that kind of thing with the dirty kitchen. And then you can imagine, walking in your child's room after you just put everything and organized everything and put it away, and they decided to take it all out again. How to perceive that. It's in your hands.
One
And
of the
so instead of another, so it's perception, it's also response instead of react. So
Mhm.
those two things bring you into your awakening.
Right.
If we can get to a place where we respond to situations, you guys,
Not react. Yes.
yeah, we
Not just
I
react.
really feel that's a huge part of not having to come back and come back and come back here on this plane and try it over and over and over again, and how we can come from a place of response and connection to our higher self to situations. Once we
There
can
was
do that,
there was a moment when I said to you what was driving me crazy, this was months ago, was how people would come in the house and they would leave the cupboard doors open.
right?
And you were talking about how cupboard doors can get left open by someone you care about.
Mhm.
And you can smile about that because you can say to yourself, oh, isn't that sweet? She always leaves the doors open. And I was reacting and you were responding. And you were responding from a perspective of love. And I was responding from it's not the way I do it kind of thing.
Mhm.
So it's a small example, but it's an important one because it sends a message to the person you're being critical of that they're not okay no matter what they do.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Right. And also, layering it down, Chris, it becomes, you're in a place of judgment, and we don't want to do that either.
Yeah. Right.
So, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right. So what's your
Carol says, I feel I learned reactive behavior. Every time I feel I have gotten it under control, I'm taught a new lesson. I know. I'm telling you, and that's great. But that's really good, Carol, because that means we are really mastering this. We're doing it this time around, Carol. And so that's wonderful. Yeah, wonderful. So we continue to get opportunities to master that that ability to respond rather than coming from that place of reaction. That's huge. Okay, so I haven't shared this with you. I was still working on it, you guys. So if you didn't know by now, we are, Chrys and I are writing a book, and so I try to do my homework the best I can. I wanted to bring this over, see if I could, to try to keep up with Chrys and stuff. But this is a new piece, so you all heard it here first. And so, all right, here we go. As we embrace the consciousness of spirituality and feminism, we've discovered a truly transmutative fusion. And I think I made that word up, but I don't know. Transmutative fusion. We could fix that word. Okay, so I digress. I'll start over. You guys bear with me. I love you all. All right. So as we embrace the consciousness of spirituality and feminism, we've discovered a truly transmutative fusion. This fresh perspective is a profound shift in our approach to empowerment and social change. It's really about embracing a holistic variation, one that not only reshapes societal norms, but also promotes personal growth, self-discovery, and acknowledges the divine within. It's important to recognize that this journey isn't just sociopolitical. It's a deep introspective exploration that fosters empathy, inclusivity, and a willingness for reevaluation of power dynamics, the patriarchy, both in the world and within ourselves. Keeping in mind that feminism is not just a female issue, but a human expression. I'm going to say that again. Keep
Yeah.
in mind that feminism is not just a female issue, but a human expression. This union invites us to recognize that the quest for equality and empowerment transcends gender. It's a collective endeavor calling for a redefined understanding of humanity, one that embraces all genders, identities, and walks of life. This inclusive approach broadens the scope of our collective journey, encouraging a more interconnected and compassionate world. How do we embrace this inclusive approach? How do we reshape the conversation around feminism and empowerment in our current climate?
Well, first of all, that's really good.
Oh,
Um,
so
so yeah.
that's why
Um,
you haven't received it yet, because I keep coming back and
all
you know.
right. So, um, oh, I have so many thoughts. Um, the word spiritual need to appear in there somewhere, but
It's in there.
feminism is a spiritual experience, not a religious experience. It is a spiritual experience.
Right.
Um, I had the wonderful experience yesterday of 6 women over 70 sitting at the table in the dining room talking about all the social change they've done in the world, from the most radical to the most simple.
Wow.
And it was one of those moments when you wished a videotape had been running the entire time, because we all need to hear these stories. And it was really powerful. So what I invited them to do is to come back, but um and we'll at least, audio tape it. But it was what we go through in life when we're trying very hard to respond, but activism is often reacting, and responding feels almost passive by comparison.
Mm.
So, um, but the word act is in activism and react. So
Mhm.
it's important to understand that reaction can also be responding, and responding can also be reacting. What you're choosing is whether or not to let the spiritual side of what you're doing be the dominant side.
Mhm.
Um, so, you know, the image that comes to mind is the image of the young woman who went and put a flower in a soldier's gun,
Mhm.
and the number of people activists who've been reacting, who've said to police and to soldiers, "Why do you do this?"
Mhm.
That's responding, but it's
Mhm.
also action.
Mhm.
So, um, and the child who leaves all the stuff on the floor is the perspective is really your perspective. Is this a bad child? Or is it a child who doesn't really understand the effect that they're having on other people? And is it our job with a child to show them a different way of reacting, right?
Mhm.
So, yeah, um, I really want to go back to what we had happen in the members group on Friday, because some really important stuff came out of that. Um, I was venting, so to speak, um, about the resurgence of this cancer that I'm carrying around, and the doctor is trying to put another uh, chemotherapy on Wednesday. And I was talking about what it's like to be between having had a life and having had people and so on. In the space between that and a death sentence, basically, what we have called death sentence in the past. And I learned a lot. And by talking about it, and I don't usually talk about it. So
That's
I
true.
learned a lot. Yeah. It was very important because some of the people in the group were trying to explain. I was trying to explain what it's like to watch other people's perspective about the cancer and about the state that I'm in. And they were trying very hard to understand what I was talking about. But what I said, the primary lesson was about being still. Now, I'm going to ask a question, which is when you're really still, that is, when you're really alone, when there really isn't anything you can do, when you're all by yourself and there's nothing you can do except hear your own thoughts. That's it. And at one point, your thoughts stop because what's the point, right? And so somewhere there is what you're calling perspective. What you're wading through is the social constructions about what you're experiencing and the messages you've gotten your whole life. Oh, poor me, or I'm all alone, or isn't this awful, or that sort of stuff. You shut that off. You shut that perspective off, and you're left with still, just being still, and you realize you've never spent your life being still.
Right. It's the ultimate in the moment.
That's right. That's right. Being really, really still. People love to talk about meditation, but it's not the same. It's not the same. It's really being still. Somebody said you're in transition. Not quite, but you're going to go there, but at the same time, aren't we all? So
when you were there, Chrys, what did you find? What specifically thing in that stillness did you find something? Did something?
I found in that stillness that it's really all there is. The rest is just perspective, as you call it, or construction.
Okay.
I got to get my bills done. I got to get my taxes on. I got to do this. I got to do that. I got to, I've got to go take care of the person who's making the merch for me. I got to, all of that. I've got to make enough money, that sort of stuff. We keep ourselves busy in the stillness, in the real stillness. You can't do anything. You don't do anything. Nothing happens. Nothing means anything. And so when you have a group of people like I had yesterday, and they're all sitting here and they're sharing their stories and all of that, they all still are not still. They're not still. They're talking about, Hamas and Israel, and they're talking about what are we going to do about, indigenous people, and they're doing all that stuff, and I'm just sitting there, just watching. And what I find interesting, and I found interesting on Friday, is, and other days before that, is that people watch me because they really don't know what's happening. They don't know what to do. They don't know how to deal with it. So I guess the theme today is really what we've brought up so far. The piece about perspective versus social, and social construction are not versus; they're the same thing. We've been told that being busy is the most important thing, right? You can the perspective of someone who's not busy is that they might be lazy, not good for anything. We have all sorts of judgments attached to not being still. And
Mhm.
I don't know. Hi, Kevin. And I don't know if any of that makes any sense, but it's fodder for discussion.
So let's read through some of this. Kevin says perhaps become the watchers of the ego's death.
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, that is right.
Yeah.
Spot on
That's
there.
right. And we've built a whole culture around ego.
Mhm. Right.
Right.
Oof. And talk about perspective, because perspective is really kind of adjusting yourself away from the ego based
Yeah.
thoughts. Okay.
Yeah.
Carol says, was there peace in that stillness?
Yes. Yes.
Awesome.
There's
Okay.
also, and one of the conversations that we had yesterday was that this was a whole group of people who've recently watched their loved ones die.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Okay. They're of an age that they've had parents and siblings and friends and partners pass. So we had a long conversation about grief and what is grief and how to do grief and all of that. And I think those are all related. I think stillness is like running fast, so that not being still means you're not going to feel grief. You're going to be busy all the time. So that just a lot better than most people. So I'm eager to hear what you think.
Yeah. Let's go through some of these first, and then we'll come back to that. All right. I started a bunch, so let's go in here. Okay, Seascape said, this goes back a little bit in the conversation, but I started them all as they were coming in. I didn't want to miss them. When you're shut down all the time in the adult world, we handle to be heard with knee-jerk reactions, protecting oneself. Yeah, so that's where those reactions come from. A lot of our reactions come out of protection. A lot of them do. Spiritual shield maiden mystic light worker, love it. Feminine energy is the powerful feminine healing energies that help us to heal us all collectively when given the opportunity, unleashed, unrepressed, and free. Yeah, that is beautiful, and that is definitely part of the feminine energy. It's kind of like when you were saying about in the 60s, that iconic picture of that woman putting the flower in the gun. And then in, I want to say 2021 or 2020. So you're talking 60
years later.
Or 60 years later.
Yeah.
We have a picture of a woman. So this is the difference, but still putting the flower in there, if you will. And they've made T-shirts out of it and everything, where she comes out naked, sits there, on the ground, crossed. You know what I mean? Like just kind of open. The soldiers. Same concept, different way of offering that enlightenment perspective, that type of thing. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
That many years later, still trying to get the message out, but doing it different, not with the flower and the gun, but, showing the flower, but being that vulnerable.
Yeah.
The vulnerability of it. So this kind of reminds me, Shield Maiden, of those pictures.
Well, the Nobel Peace Prize was given to um, do a terrible thing to her name, Lema Gwobi, um, where the women in Nigeria or Liberia, where or the men were fighting, and the women figured out that if they were to show their chests, their bare chests, they would be breaking a cultural norm, and the men would stop fighting,
Mm.
begin to negotiate, and the threat of them bearing their chests was enough to put the flour in the gun.
Putting the flower in the gun,
Yeah.
yeah. Wow, yeah, that just gave me the chills. The power of the feminine. Mm. Okay, oh, here we go. Okay, got that one. Got that one. Oh, Seascape is asking, is wanting to sit in the quiet the same as stillness?
No. No, it's on your way to stillness, but it's not stillness.
Mm-hmm.
Stillness is really when you realize there is nothing. When you're able to sit and there's nothing. You literally can't do anything. There's nothing.
Mm.
There is nothing.
I
And
call
you
that
what?
the space between planets. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I started calling it the in between because that's what it feels like.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a good description too.
Yeah.
I did a painting years ago, the space between planets, right in the depths of my grief. All right.
Yeah.
Because I found relief there in that.
I think grief brings you there,
Mm-hmm.
brings you to still,
Mm-hmm.
and really, really deep grief really brings you there because nothing else matters.
I'll have to. You guys, it's one of those paintings that ended up in the garage because on the wall in the garage because it wouldn't. But anyways, I did write on it. I'll have to go look and see what I said about that
Mm.
in that moment, in the moment of the depths of grief, but finding my place, finding that space in between planets. But there's something else written there, and my spirit team is reminding me to check that out. So I'll check that out for sure. Minnie G, hi. I have found the busy judgment unkind, but I decided not to defend myself. Oh, okay. Yes. Those busy bees who try to make you feel like you should be doing something. If you're not, then yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. Carol's remark about it's very different from when you can't write and you can't see well and you can't walk and you
Mm-hmm.
can't do anything, then living alone is being totally still. Your whole being is still. You can't, you just can't do anything. Anything you did to be busy isn't available to you anymore. And you sit there and you go, I'm I'm still. I'm living alone has a different meaning when you can't keep
Mm-hmm.
yourself busy, when you can't. When you and I started doing this a couple of years ago, I was still painting.
Right. Yes.
And you were saying you should tape record what you say when you paint. And I was like, oh, that's a fun idea. Well, I can't do that now.
Mm-hmm.
So I sort of sit there and go, I can't. I don't even know how to give this language half the time. And you're right, living alone is luxurious, but only if you can get up out of your chair.
Right. Yeah. Let's see, any more here? Seascape says, I learned to dial it back as an adult, learning through hard consequences, making my life harder than it should be. Life is calmer. Still work in progress. Yes, Seascape.
So it's
But
being a work in progress. Yeah.
isn't that funny? Yeah.
Isn't that funny? Yeah. I think you said that on Friday. You said something about perspective, and I thought, I never thought of still as a perspective. Because we do have a cultural construction of still. And you're right, we do judge it. We do say, oh, poor me, I can't do anything. But what a luxurious thing to be able to be absolutely still.
Gift. A gift within chaos, and a gift within grief, and the gift within all those. It's where we find God, if you will. It's where we find source. It's where we find love. It's where we find that ultimate peace and all acceptance and no judgment. And it's a great place to be.
And then somebody walks through your living room who you don't know why that happened. I said that to you the other night. Somebody just walked in my living room.
I really felt like, so she saw someone walk, like a woman walk through her living room, and I never, and I had never gotten this before, but when I sat with that, I literally heard like an echo of a timeline or something, like you gotta give, like it was a glimpse of almost like two timelines kind of crossed.
Yeah.
Or something. It was the weirdest thing. I'd never seen it. I didn't have words for it, but all I could say was echo, echo, echo. But that's what I was doing with that. It was so interesting. But that you got to that was a gift. Like you got to see that.
It was a surprise,
So Carol, she had a bandana on, and Chrys said she felt like it was
wrapped around her head. It was a wrapping around her head. And I would say she's probably from this era. She was casual. It was very fast. She just walked straight, like under my television. She just walked straight past the TV and out, and that was it. It was literally that long.
Yeah, and another with that echo fill and like that cross, it was almost like also like you saw someone out of body experience. You know how they what's that called?
Astral projection.
Projection of someone.
Yeah.
Like you got to see that. Like that's huge.
Yeah. She wasn't looking at me. She was just
on her way. Yeah, that's what made me.
Yeah.
It was like my team was pretty clear about this is kind of like an echo or like a.
And she was really fast. And the last time this happened, there was a woman walking through my living room in her night clothes with her hair in pin curls, and she had a teacup in one hand, and she was walking slow enough that I could actually see her, and found out that was the woman who owned the house the first time. So, and she's around a lot, but this person was new. This was entirely new.
Yeah. That's why my team told me it was very different than that first person that you saw. Yeah. So anyway, pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's pretty powerful to be able to, the veil's so thin for you to see through like
Yeah.
that.
Right.
Just go astral project and run around. Holy cow. So the thing that I'm super excited for all of us and that are in these conversations together, and we've been together for 2 years, is that we've gotten to this point of awareness, of awakening, where we can actually talk about coming from a place of responding instead of reacting. That's huge in a way. That's huge in coming from that higher mind, releasing that ego. That in your soul's growth or in your whatever path of why we come here, guys, that's huge from my understanding, from what I understand from my spirit team. And being able to find that stillness that Chrys is talking about. If we're in this place now and we're talking about this now, you guys, we're in a good place. We're doing the work and we're doing good. No matter where we're at, like no matter if we're still reacting to little things or whatever, the fact that you're talking about it and grasping it and going, yeah, I get, that's huge, I think.
One of my closest friends my best friend was here this morning, and I looked at her for longer than usual, and she started to tear up, and she said, I can't even think about what's coming. I can't do it. And so she's watching me, and I'm watching her watch me, and I'm watching her at the same time, and realizing that's maybe that's the purpose for illness. Maybe it's in the observing each other in a way that we don't stop and do on a regular basis, that has its lessons in it. And I texted you the other night, what is awakening? What is it? What is awakening? And you gave me a response, but I sat there going, I really don't get it yet. I still, even though that's the title of our talk, Love is the Wisdom Behind Awakening. What is awakening? What is it? And I think we've got bits and pieces of it, but I don't think we have it all yet, even though your guides are frequently giving us
more and more
great
bits and pieces of it.
Yeah.
I'm going back to that conversation. We chat a lot on text, so it's hard. Oh, okay. Here we go. Oh, okay. Through love, you are becoming awakened to deeper truths, empathy, and understanding. Your awakening encompasses self-awareness, compassion, connection with others, and a broader, more profound sense of knowing and purpose and meaning in life. I know that was like,
Yeah.
it was like,
Yeah.
not targeted to you. I wasn't quite sure if you were asking me because you wanted me to do some homework, or if you were asking because for personal reasons. And then I later realized you were asking for reals. And
no, I was that was the little kid who just put Legos all over the floor, and I was having a little mini temper tantrum saying, so what is this awakening thing?
Yeah, right. And so, and I love that. And so later in the conversation, when I realized I think she was asking for real for herself and not for me to do some homework.
Mm.
And my spirit team came up with awakening is navigating this realm of what is perceived to be wholeness
Mhm.
through the lens of love. So we have, it goes back to that perception. What are we perceiving as wholeness or thriving, or so it's reevaluating our perception of what we are given in a moment, in whatever moment we're in. If our
Well, it's like realizing that everything you thought was real was perception.
Yeah.
Does that make any
But
sense?
also, within our um, within our within our oh, I just lost it. Shoot. But they do want me to go back to the perception thing, and I feel like there must be something here within us, within the whole group here. Um, we've been programmed to put crowns on certain
Oh, yeah.
abilities and things here on this planet. So if we're lacking in any way, our perception is that we're lacking and that, this sucks and I
Yeah.
can't do
Yeah.
this, I can't do
Yeah.
that, and I can't, I don't get to have that crown or whatever. So in opportunities when we lose the ability to um, cook, let's say, can't cook anymore.
I can't
Well,
anymore.
okay, there you go. So
Yes.
we lose the ability to cook, but that was our expression. We love to cook because that was our expression of love for people. So then we're lacking and we dive into that. And it's just like, I'm no longer useful because I can't do my act of love through cooking.
Mhm.
What if we change our perspective of that? What if we have the ability to sit in the stillness of it and change our perspective of not being able to cook anymore? Does that make any sense? Like we need to.
Well, it is my experience when people come in the house. What I've been shown to do in my life is to take care of the people who come in the house, right? To
Mhm,
serve them coffee, to make them a meal, to whatever they need, right? I
mhm,
can't do any of that. So, um, so the ability to cook for someone, which is a perspective about taking care of the other, right?
mhm.
I can't do. So I'm constantly in the place of, could you please, could you please, I need this, please. Thank you so much. You've been so kind. It's like I've overstayed my welcome. You
Mhm,
know, there's
mhm,
there's something about that that's very uncomfortable.
mm.
And you said two words that came up. One was oh shoot, I'm doing a I'm doing a Debbie.
Debbie.
By the way, Carol, um, it's been said by the indigenous people in this region. She wrote, she was in the town you live in when I got
Oh,
stuck speaking in an old English accent when I was 14. It's been said by the indigenous people here that the center part of this part of the state is a psychic center, and so it's not unusual that that stuff happens. It's also
wow.
not unusual that somebody walks through my living room, or that I get a lot of orbs when I
Right.
get that upstairs. And so yeah, that's the norm here. But there are two words that came up. One, oh, crown. What
Okay.
is meant by, you use that so automatically. What is meant by crown? That feels
The
older.
crown thing, you know what I mean? Like, so I guess what they were, because showing me in metaphor. So what do we put a crown on? We put a crown on a king and a queen. We put a crown on people we elevate or things that we elevate. So it was more like, what do you put a crown on? Do you put a crown on your cell phone? Like, as you elevate your cell phone, you know what I mean? What are you putting crown on? You put a crown on the ability to paint, or if you can't paint anymore, does that mean you lose your crown? You know what I mean? So it's that type of meaning with the crown thing. We put crowns on things. It's kind of like elevating them.
Okay.
Maddie Bug, it's so hard though to not be able to do what you used to. I can barely do anything, even open a jar. Feels hopeless and scary. Always having to ask for help. Exactly, Chrys.
Yes, that's
We want to talk about that for a second.
Yeah. I think that's also the experience of a lot of older people. And why what happened to Biden the other day on the hands of the special counsel was so violent and so awful. You have so many memories, and this is what we're talking about in the 70s yesterday. We have so many memories that what it takes to bring them up, they're there. The file cabinet's very full. So it's a matter of finding it, and then you go, oh yeah, it's this, but it's not that you're not competent. And not being able to open a jar doesn't mean you're not competent anymore either. But goes back to what you said before about lacking, because that's another piece of this picture of awareness, is the awareness that even though you can't do a whole lot, you are not lacking. And that part's really hard.
That's the thing. Yeah. Because of what we put crowns on.
Yeah.
We put crowns on the doers.
I know.
Yeah. But we were taught to do that. That's a narrative, and that's another programming that we need to break down and bring truth to. So, but yes, thank you, Maddie Bug, for sharing part of your story. And it is scary because it's different and a change, and we're not used to depending and having to be dependent. That's a big shift to our system.
Yeah.
But yeah. All right. Yes, spirit detective. Notoriety. It would be another word for that. Hi, Mousy. Thank you. Salrod says, just being is difficult for me too. I think that's why I had to come to the desert and sit for 3 years.
Yeah. There are various ways of doing this. You can't help but wonder. I can't help but wonder, why do I have this? Why is this happening to me? What am I supposed to take from this? The only message I've gotten is that I'm supposed to share what it feels like. I don't know why. I don't know what I'm supposed to share.
Well, you're doing it today, and we're offering you're offering your story and offering a new truth, a new perspective.
But one of the perspectives that you get out of this experience is you're not supposed to talk about it. You're not supposed to complain.
Mhm.
You're not supposed to say, "Oh, woe is me." You're not supposed to grieve. You're supposed to be independent and just accept the way it is. You're lucky to be alive.
Mhm.
I can't tell you how many people have said, "You're lucky to be alive." And they really? Okay. Whatever you say. And in the moment I say that, I feel like I'm not doing my part.
Right.
So it's a constant internal battle. Yeah. That's not spoken about. It's true.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Well, I'm grateful to you for offering your story and the path that you're on and your awakening, sharing your awakening and new perspectives and so forth. We are all grateful. Chrys, when have you played by the rules?
Carol, you're not allowed. If you weren't here Friday, you're not allowed to say those things. Marianne has said, late
Marianne,
party, but we'll revisit this. Is a conversation that seriously interests me. I think it's a conversation we should all have. I think she's right about that. I wish one of the insights I've had is how much we turn children away from this, from knowledge about what this is like, and the more of us, and of course, cancer is an epidemic now, and the more of us who get sick walk around going, "What the hell? Nobody prepared me for this." But why are we not teaching little kids that this is life? Life is always a transition moment. It's always, that there are ways to speak it to children and have them grow up and not be afraid of it and all of that. I think that's really, really important.
And also to change the language from take the word decline out of the aging process.
Yeah.
We're not in a decline.
Right.
We're always in a process of expansion.
Right.
Always. It's just cellular.
Well, this is where indigenous people were really wise, because they were able to say we need to listen to the elders. And when I've gone to listen to them at the Haudenosaunee Nation near here, the elders are so wise, and they carry the stories. One of the stories that got shared yesterday was when I was teaching critical race theory. The first book I had them read was the story of the Haudenosaunee here, and it's a booklet, right? Well, one of the authors of the booklet was here. So I said to her, by the way, I used to always use that booklet in my class. And she told me a story. And the story yielded two stories. One was that they were yelling at her for wanting their names when she was interviewing them, because they said, "We don't take credit. We don't take credit. We all have the same story, and we all tell the stories." And I said to her, one of the stories that's come out of that period was when indigenous people encountered the whites would give credit, or write things down, and the indigenous people would say, "Well, why are you doing that? Is your memory bad?" So, it's different cultural messages, and I think that's what we're navigating. The crowns are the stuff we are navigating through, being white people or being part of this American culture or whatever it is. The crown, did you get a PhD? Well, let's put a crown on you. Did you get a bachelor's? Let's put a crown on you.
Mhm.
And did you teach? Yeah, let's put a crown on you. You could have been lousy at all those things, but we're going to put a crown on you. And so the crown becomes like it has too many jewels on it and blinds you to life, right? So I'm playing with the metaphor.
I love it. I love the playing with the metaphor.
There's Gigi.
There's Gigi, and I saw Sheila came in. Hi, Sheila. Craig's here. Gigi says learning with disabilities is a 360 transformation, physically, mentally, um, and rely more on our spiritually, relying on your spiritual self more to adjust. And so that really does step you into that superpower within in that awakening. Awakening is accepting the now. Wow, Gigi.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Chrys, please know you are not alone, Gigi says. Yeah.
Yeah. Gigi, maybe you can give some insight about that. Because being alone, you feel very vulnerable. And it's not the alone that comes with I choose to be alone. It's the alone that comes with I don't have any choice. So you feel very vulnerable and more careful and I don't know. I mean, you call on the spiritual side, but somehow it doesn't take the edge off the aloneness. So, so I would welcome more comments about aloneness.
Yeah. Yeah. And Craig says, thank you, Chrys. I'm Native American. We had a death in the family. We lost my uncle, a Vietnam vet and Navajo medicine man. Yeah. Oof. Anyway, so great convo. I'm glad we did the live. I'm glad we came on live. You guys, let us know if you like the lives, because I really enjoy the back and forth communication with everybody. It helps. And it also, it brings it all together here. Thank you, Ness. Yeah, Ness said she liked it live. So I think we may revisit the live situation.
Yeah.
I know I didn't chat today, but we had some good conversation. If you guys have some in particular that you would like to talk to, and maybe we can bring in some messages from in regard to what we're talking about and what we're discussing, anybody that could be really helpful, let me know, and we'll navigate that. Sheila says, mine right now is dealing with the belief system of feeling left out. Lots and lots of layers are there. Yeah, that is a tough one, Sheila, to navigate, because as humans, that's one of the main things is we want to be a part of, because we come from a place where we're all connected. Collective conscious connection. So we're always connected. We're always a part of and we come here and all of a sudden we have to navigate and try. And so our desire is to be a part of but know that you're whole and complete and loved. And even with the perception that you're not a part of it. Does that make sense? Did I say that right, Chrys? Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we all face that one.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Marianne says, Sheila, I'm totally with you there. I'm there too. And yeah. The main thing is you're not lacking. You're not
I get
lacking.
the feeling that this topic opens up so many topics, the awakening topic, that the other topic I think would be really important for us to to deal with would be grief.
Yeah.
What does grief bring?
It's-
And we resist the grieving and we try and put it away, but we don't really understand it completely.
Mhm.
And we don't understand its effect long term.
Mhm.
So yeah, thanks.
You guys, we love you. We are hugging you all, and we will see you back next Sunday, same time. And
Yeah.
and
And
still
still-
I
Guys,
rise. You too can have one of those sweatshirts.
and they come in many colors. Yes.
Lots of colors. Choose your color.
Yeah.
Yeah. And on the back it says Freebird Spirit.
Yes. Underneath the hood. I was trying to show it to somebody this morning, and it was underneath the hood.
It is underneath. You didn't want it to be like a big old blatant back thing. It's just
why not? Let's put a crown on it. Yeah.
Let's put a crown on it.
Yeah.
Oh, you guys, love you. And so, yeah, I'm going on the sofa in 20 minutes now. So I'll see you guys on the sofa. It's Dream Stream today.
Thank you so much.
Yes, thanking you.
Thank you so much.
Bye, you guys, and we'll see you. I'll see you on the Dream Stream on the sofa today. Okay. Thanks.
Yes.
Love you.